If you're ready to take back control of your health, you're in the right place. Welcome to Awaken Wellness with me, Tanya Candy, registered nurse and health coach. Now, I'm not your typical nurse. I consider myself divorced from traditional healthcare. I broke free of the sick care system in 2019 when I realized that the root cause to my sickness, my autoimmune disease, and my chronic pain was me. If you're ready for truth, for clarity, for honesty in a tough, love, compassionate way, I'm the coach for you. Join me while we dig into our root causes of sickness and disease. Hello, welcome in. It is Nurse Tanya from Awaken Wellness. I'm trying out this background today. We'll see how it goes, right? There's always something new to try. I am not a professional at any of this. So thank you so much for bearing with me as I practice doing all these things. I've got my comments on. If you're here, if you're watching, I am ready to hear from you. I'm ready to answer some questions. Bear with me if you're on my mailing list. I'm just trying to make my software a little bit more compliant. Maybe you just got a text message from me or an email. I thought that wasn't going to send till next week. So that's how all this trial and error stuff goes. I don't know about you, but I don't love that background thing. I don't love what it does to the green screen. Maybe if I didn't have it set black, then I wouldn't mind it. I'm gonna change that. Let's just do this guy. Yeah, is that better? It's better. What if we just do none? Yeah, you can look at my office behind me, right? I'm sure you don't mind. Let's just do none. I think it works out better. All right, there we are. So, what are we going to talk about today? So, I am on it. I am being consistent. I am doing Wellness Wednesday. Wellness Wednesday is virtual free group coaching. It is absolutely open to anybody, but the people who are getting the notifications about it are people who have registered somewhere on my website, who have showed interest in what I'm doing, what I have to say, and maybe would like to work with me. And some of you are maybe already using Cellcore products. That's my main jam, is detoxification and parasite cleansing. I'm going to tell you just my story today. If you're new here, I am an RN. I consider myself divorced from the sick care system. Even being an RN was my second career path. Right out of the gate, I was a self-employed beautician for 10 years. I lived in a very small town. I loved my beauty shop. It was a great life. It was wonderful. That being self-employed when my kids were little, I loved it. When I thought about changing, going back to school, to be a nurse, it really wasn't because I loved anything about the medical community. It was because I always had a desire to help people. And I was interested in science and those kind of things, even in beauty school. The segments that were like deep science and the structure and the anatomy, I loved. I wasn't a very good student when I was in high school, or I just didn't try. So when I decided to go back to nursing school, it was as an on fire born again Christian and just wanting to help people. And I wanted more stability for my kids. I had been through a divorce, I was a single mom, and I knew then actually I thought there was supposed to be all of this free money to pay for my education to go into nursing because of the shortage. I never did find any of that. I paid for my education, but I wanted more stability. I wanted benefits. I wanted to raise my kids with just a more stable income. Being a beautician in a small town, I really did well financially, but my income always depended on who was coming in my door. So that is really was the primary driver that sent me back to a school to become a nurse. I went through a 4-year program, so I became an RN, and I really enjoyed working as a nurse. It was scary, super scary, like those clinical experiences in the hospital. What saved me was my age. I had 10 years of real life behind me. So when I was doing new things, giving medications, working in the hospital, I trusted me. I've always had a really grounded sense of security and trusting me. I'm one of those people when there's a big decision to be made, I don't want to ask for a bunch of other people for their advice or their input. I just want to get quiet between me and the Lord and come to a conclusion. Going back to nursing school, I worked everywhere, not everywhere. In a small town, I worked in a lot of different environments. I worked hospital, I worked clinic, I worked walked in clinic, I worked for an ENT, ear, nose, and throat doctor. Where else? And then, but the bulk of where I worked was in corrections. When I lived in Dickinson, I was the manager at our jail there. When my boss had retired or moved on, we also ran a women's prison in New England, South New England, North Dakota. So I filled in there a little bit. And then when I moved to Sydney, my role changed. I went back to the hospital nursing because that was the only opening they had. And even at that time, I really didn't care if I learned anything new about nursing or medical. I wasn't in the mindset that I am now. I just hated the politics. I hated always feeling rushed, never being able to sit at the bedside with your client and make them feel heard and valuable and understood. And it was just all about charting. And it really slays me if it we the everybody would always say, if you didn't chart it, it didn't happen. And I was always like, just because somebody charted it doesn't mean that it did happen either, right? So everybody's all about this charting. But we all know that people don't tell the full truth about much of anything. So there's that. Hospital nursing, not I did not like hospital nursing at all. Just the responsibility of it. I only ever helped out in the ICU or only ever helped out in the ER. That was just not me. Or fancy charting and all of that. That's just not me. I like this. I like one-to-one personal communication. So I did have the opportunity where I live now in Montana to go back and work in the jail, small county jail. So I was the only one on staff and I enjoyed it. I loved the autonomy of that job, of that role. And there too, all of the time as a nurse, I didn't want to push dangerous drugs. I didn't want to just be handing out pills. That was never part of who I was as a nurse. But as COVID hit, as things changed, I was already really sick and frustrated with the system. And like I said, I didn't want to learn any more about anything medical. And when I moved to Montana and I got remarried, I fell in love with horses. I had bought this weanling. His name was Jackson, the cutest little buckskin. And in that period of my life, that was suppose about 13 or 14 years ago. In that period of my life, like horses saved me. I was so yuck at work. I was just doing the job because I paid for the education for one, and for and two, there was no other job I wanted to work. I didn't want it to be at home and I didn't want to just work at the grocery store when I have a nursing degree. So my job would have been silly not to still glean from my education as a nurse. But anyway, when I got into horse training, working with horses, they saved my soul because I was so yuck at work. So at least I had that I really enjoyed. I binged the horse training and all of that. And I'm an all in person. And why I'm telling you this, why it's part of my story, And I guess early when I was thinking, what am I going to talk about live? I was going to talk about my gut health and what brought me here. But all of it, how the Lord works in mysterious ways to bring all things together. So my life was plenty stressful my whole life. Like when I was a single person working two jobs, raising kids, the stress, and you just go, you just power through it. And all those years of powering through it, I lived on Diet Coke. I kind of coffee, but not coffee wasn't as trendy then as it is now. I lived on Diet Coke, junk food, the American diet, and stress. Always had crazy guts. Always, and I'll come back to that. But my healing journey was part of that. I didn't even know at the time that was part of my healing journey was having those horses, helping my fight or flight, helping me find joy in the journey. So working with those horses, I had no idea then that I was doing it as a self therapy. I did knew that it was self therapy. But now in the big picture, when I think about how therapeutic it really was, the fresh air, I was not an outdoors person before. It didn't matter the weather. I was out there with those horses. I used to take in during the winter, I called it weanling boot camp, and I would take in other people's weanlings. So I would have 8 to 10 weanlings all winter, work on calming them down and teaching them manners so they weren't spoiled brats. And so it was so fun getting them to trust you, to understand you. When I pointed, they knew to go. It was amazing. And now I didn't that was my therapy. I knew it was my therapy, but that was so much part of my healing journey, helping my nervous system settle down and calm down. And they taught me so much in a time when I was so pissed off. Like just my job, the medical system, how it worked, the holes in the corrections, and what you can't do. You can't fix people. So the constant frustrations, like these horses, kept me balanced. Like they just listen. They don't sass. That's not true. They can be sassy, but they come into line. So just part of that healing journey. And then as my children were becoming adults and getting married, my son and his wife, she is pregnant and she says, "We don't want to vaccinate our kids. I don't want to vaccinate these babies." And the nurse in me, I honestly, at that time, I had little knowledge about yay or nay on vaccines. All I knew was the terrible things that even the nicest nurses say in the break room about anti vaxxers. That's all I knew. And I knew she was going to get bullied, and I knew it was going to be a big deal. So I went into mama bear mode, into protection mode. And I was like, "All right, I'm with you. Let's do it. If this is what you wanna do, I'm gonna support you, I'm gonna help you." And I was just like, "You're gonna get bullied. I'll go to your appointments with you. I'll do whatever you need me to do. I'm in your corner. We need information. You need to be able to fire back your reasons why when you start to get bullied at these, well, baby appointments." So that is totally how this played out. I went to an anti vaxxer rally in North Dakota and to support her by myself. It was super inconvenient. I had to squeeze it into my schedule. I just didn't want to go in the sense that it was super inconvenient. And but something in me, I knew that was going to be a pivotal part of my life. I didn't know who I was going to meet. I didn't know what opportunity was going to be there, but I knew, like I've ever known anything, when the good Lord is telling me change is coming, I knew I had to be there. So I went, and there was this speaker. His name was Dr. Patrick Flynn of the Wellness Way, this little bald guy. And he's going on about hormones and just everything, vaccines, everything that he said. I'm like, yeah, This guy, what he's saying, this is what I've been thinking my whole life. This guy has put words to it. So instantly, I said, I am on that train. I don't know what it looks like or where it's going to take me, but this is it. This was why I needed to be here today. And then, so I found out they had an academy. They had the Wellness Way has its own academy, its own their own little credential thing. It was 16 months long, I think, something like a year and a half, maybe it was a year, I don't remember. Do it yourself video. They taught me how to look at lab reports as a nurse. I had been programmed that nurses don't interpret labs and they don't do this and they don't do that. This program through the Wellness Way taught me how to look at labs from a functional health perspective. So, not as normals, like how frustrating that is when you go to the doctor and you went there because you felt like crap, and then they drew some blood work and they say, your labs are all fine, your labs are all normal. Here you go home, come back and see us when you feel worse. Right now, they're normal. So we can't do anything for you. We have no pills that we can give you because your criteria is normal. But you say, Doctor, I don't feel normal. I feel like crap. And they say, well, sorry, see you later. See you next year when you feel worse. So that is so frustrating. And that's where I would have been my whole life. I was sick. I was super sick, but I knew that I was normal. And I knew if I would have went through doctoring and went through the office, went through all the testing, they would have, lo and behold, gave me a diagnosis of fibromyalgia, which is a bullshit diagnosis. Means they don't know what else is wrong with you. You have autoimmune disease. Your body is attacking itself. Again, bullshit. I'm gonna cuss a little bit. Yes, I love the Lord, and yes, I get on my soapbox and I cuss a little bit. So those diagnoses are bull. Your body does not attack itself. Louder for you in the back. Your body does not attack itself. Your body is desperately trying to protect itself from something that should not be in there. So we can figure that out. And then, so as my story evolves, I got my functional training from the Wellness Way. I became a patient of the Wellness Way. I moved mountains in my health. Before I started all of that at the tip of it, I was just about to eat humble pie and go see a back surgeon. I had herniated discs in my back and in my neck. The ones in my back were slowing me down. I wasn't riding horse like I wanted to. I had another kind of weird thing where I tweaked my knee and my left hip. I was gonna have to eat humble pie and my fibromyalgia points were so bad. Like right here, these ones on my chest were so bad. And then the ones right above the crest of your hips on your lower back were so bad. My and I'm still working on my metabolism and this weight loss thing. That for me that's way at the end. A healthy body finds a healthy weight. Everything that I'm doing right now, I should be skinny and I'm not. So that tells me I have not arrived. My body is still on the struggle bus. So I'm still a work in progress. So I'm not where I want to be, but thank God I'm not where I used to be. I'm sitting here at 52, I just had a birthday, feeling way better than I felt when I was 35. My friends, could be you. That could be you. We can get you better. But it is a long haul. It's a lifestyle. It's all of it. It's not just taking supplements. It's not just one thing. It is the whole picture, whole you. And speaking of that, I'll tell you more about the end, but I wrote a program, a 30-day program, just to give you a sample to get you started. Okay, so back to my journey. I have been a patient of the Wellness Way. For 2 years, I was a super good patient. They right out of the gate, it's food allergy testing. You do a little blood draw food allergy testing, IgG. We did IgE as well, but you focus on those IgGs. And I forget, it's maybe 80 some foods, maybe 100. No, I don't think 100, maybe 80 some that they test you for. Out of those, I had 30 things that I should not eat anymore. 30 things. So does that mean my gut was full of holes? That means I had some major leaky gut issues. So on that list of 30 things, like the things that I can remember, going from A to Z, right? Almond flour, cauliflower. So why I said those first is I had thought about in the past years trying gluten free. Like I figured "Well, that's really trendy. I should probably just go gluten free. And this is something that I still do for my clients. Usually after about 4 months, not right out of the gate. Anyway, I'm not saying I don't believe in food allergy testing. I do. I still use it. So anyway, right out of the gate, I had thought about going gluten free, and I'm so glad that I did the food allergy testing at that point when I did, because this is why I had gone gluten free before I knew what my food allergies were and put in all that effort. I still would have felt like shit. And this is why, because everything that we replace the gluten with, almond flour, cauliflower, coconut flour, all those alternative flours, the ones that I can remember, flax was on my list, chia seed was on my list, coffee, black tea, green tea, pepper, lettuce, tomato, like a lot. But the point I'm really trying to make here is that when you just go gluten free and you put in all that effort and your gut is so leaky, there's a very good chance that whatever you're substituting that gluten for is also leaking into your blood. And then you're having an IgG inflammatory response. So you don't feel better because those foods that you were substituting in were just as bad for you as the gluten itself. So that is still a tool that I use, especially when people have done. I ask everybody to give me a hard 30 days, if not 120 days, of avoiding those inflammatory foods, and gluten is on that list. And if they don't feel way better, even after 30 days, if they don't feel way better, then we'll talk about the food allergy testing because there is leaky and also they're having a response to those things they're substituting with. There's that. And that's why it's really great for you to work with a practitioner like myself when you're trying to put all these pieces together yourself just because you watched my videos or you watch some other social media influencers videos. It's really hard to know when, to layer all these things in. Now when I work with people in programs, my programs have come from my years, the last 5 years of working with clients, like seeing where their wins are, where I lose them. If I ask too much of them and confuse them and overwhelm them, they just come back. They can't stick with it. So I've learned just increments, little bit at a time, and build on those lifestyle habits so that you can take day one with you. Like we want to take step one, month two, take like month one comes with us in every step. Then you add in the next thing, and those two things come to the next step. Those three things come to the next step. So we try to do this in a more manageable way. I'm totally guilty. If you worked with me years ago and you just felt overwhelmed and quit, come back. I finally put together a nice program where you'll be able to handle it. I've got all the guided education so you can be self-paced, all those things that I don't have time to tell you when we sit down together. It's there. You can go for a walk, put it on and have a listen. So there's that. Yeah, totally sidetracked. The wellness thing, my training. So I got all this awesome functional training herbal training, how the body works, how we're going to support it, how we're going to clean it up. And for 2 years, I was feeling so much better. I was doing multiple liquid herbs a day. I was avoiding all these food allergies. I had retested my food allergies and cleared a bunch of them. That was the best feeling. So, when you do food allergies, don't be scared. The whole idea is to heal your gut. Your gut should be a tight junction, right? But when we have leaky gut, for whatever reasons, processed food, parasites, stress, trauma, toxins, medications, our gaps get like this. So those food proteins are leaking out of your gut and getting in your blood. They were never meant to be in your blood. When they get in your blood, then you're having an inflammatory reaction. So heal your gut and get these all tightened up again, and then you can have those food back because they are staying in your digestive tract, which is a closed circuit. It should not get in the rest of your body unless the Lord intended it that way. Food proteins were not one of them. So we heal. I had done so much healing. I was feeling so much better. However, I just felt like something was missing. Something was not meeting my expectations. I was spending a lot of money. I was putting a lot of effort. I was getting results, but not like I knew I could, not like I knew I needed to. So I'm in a couple of peer groups through Facebook, functional practitioners, and whenever it was talking about detox, whenever anybody had a question about detox, everybody would answer, you got to use cell core biosciences. So I'm like, what is this stuff? I wonder if I can get an account with them. So I did. I registered with my nursing license. I can get professional medical grade supplements. That's totally what I use in my practice. And I got an account with them, started learning their education. They've got so much education that just comes free with the account. So you can use their products properly, and started using their products. And I'm like, whoa, whoa, this stuff works. I started paying attention. At that point, I had still always had IBS symptoms, even all of the herbal, all of the food allergies, everything I've done. My gallbladder was still on its last leg. I still had alternating constipation, diarrhea, really poor digestion, better, but still poor. So then I started paying attention to my loose stools and what was coming out, and whoa, whoa. If you go back on my YouTube account to some of those earlier videos where I'm looking at my poop and saying, what is going on here? In those early years, I had never seen other people's parasite pictures. I was just like, what is this? So like in my videos, I'm like, I don't know what this is. I know now, mostly liver flukes. I think I'm still dealing with some flukes in my pancreas because I still don't make digestive enzymes like I should. Part of my problem, part of my root cause story is those years that I lived on Diet Coke, stress, and junk food, I also had chronic heartburn. I was on Protonix or Prilosec probably for almost 15 years. I had at one time enough gastritis that I was bleeding, and I had gone in for a colonoscopy and EGD. Like, there's no way they don't see parasites on those things. I just don't understand it. Just do not understand. All they found was chronic gastritis, which means chronic inflammation, and in the stomach, in the intestinal lining. They didn't say, what are you eating? What are you not eating? What are you doing? Just take some Protonix. There you go for the rest of your life. So now I know things do not work right. When we don't have stomach acid, things do not work right the rest of our body. It's a big deal, right? Stomach acid is like no stomach acid is like walking around with no skin. right? If you have an open sore and you know how easy it is for a pathogen to come in and infect your body, it can potentially infect your whole body when there's an open sore. Having no stomach acid is like having an open door outside of your body. That stomach acid is your body's first line of defense against pathogens. If you take away your body's ability to make stomach acid, everything we eat, if you follow anybody on social media with those microscopes and they're showing you how many bugs are in your food or on your fresh fruit or in packaged food, like, it reminds me of microbiology class, like college level microbiology. It's amazing any of us can get through that without being a germaphobe. It's terrible. It's terrible. So if you let those thoughts get deep in your mind and get out of balance, people get in trouble. Like, they can mess with your mental health. So that is why we need stomach acid, is because there are microscopic bugs in everything. Everything. And if you don't have stomach acid, you need to be worried about it. Like, seriously worried about it. But if you have stomach acid, don't worry. That's what it's there for, is to kill that stuff so it cannot get in your body any further. Just like skin. If you got open skin, cover it up until your body gets that scab made. Cover it up. And that scabbing process, like, that goes on inside of our body as well. There's an itis, there's an inflammation. If your arteries are inflamed, plaque is not a bad thing. It's your body's way of fixing that open sore in the vein. What you need to do is figure out what is inflaming your vein and causing it to bleed, and quit doing that. That's how the plaques goes away, not with a pill. You don't need a pill for your body to stop making plaque. You need to figure out what you're doing to inflame your vessels. Just like if you scrape your hand, what is inflaming you? Is it bad oils? Is it sugar? These are the questions we need to know. Yeah, everything changed for me when I brought Cellcore in. I started dumping parasites. I'm not finished. The full moon's coming up, so I was just thinking about that, kind of muscle testing myself. What should I do this full moon? So now I try to live a anti-parasitic lifestyle. Drink distilled alkaline water. I do some baking soda every morning. I eat pumpkin seeds. I use spices like cilantro and things that are anti-parasitic. I try to eat more alkaline foods. I try not to let my body get overly acidic, because that is the root of the root. Like, the parasite problem is a root cause, but yet it's not the root cause. It goes deeper than that, because we have to know why. Like, we're always going to have some kind of parasite, but they just have to be in balance. So the parasites themselves are little sponges, and your immune system, if you're full of them, for some reason your immune system needs them. So there's a bigger root cause there than what you realize. If you're full of parasites, your immune system is using them to mop up, like little cleaning sponges, is using them to mop up toxins, heavy metals, viruses, stuff like that. So we always have to be aware of that. When we kill them, they splat, like dropping a bowl of pudding on your kitchen floor, splat. Then your immune system, which is already fragile, or you wouldn't have the parasites, or you wouldn't have autoimmune disease in the first place, has to clean up that mess. So that's what really makes Cellcore stand out above everything, if you ask me, is their binders. Their binders that are designed so much smarter than activated charcoal. They've got fulvic and carbon, so they've got a frequency, they've got energy to them. And so they bind like this. Activated charcoal's baby bond because it's dead, it's got no energy. So it just barely bonds. And then we're trying to count on it to get it drug to the colon so your body can get it out. But with that baby bond, that's a lot of tissue. That's a lot of cells to drag through. The cell core, the bond is like this. That carbon bond is this. Reminds me of when I was a beautician and those different bonds. Like the when I straighten my hair with heat, that's a baby bond. It's like a salt bond. But if I was to permanently wave it with permanent solution, that changes the bonds. And then the neutralizer in the perm rehardens the bonds in a form of a wave. So that's how I think of the cell core binders. They've got that extra bind to them. So they're going to drag them all the way to your colon so your body can excrete them. Makes it, they're worth their weight in gold. They're expensive, but if you're in it and you're trying to get this stuff out of you, it's worth it. And then for maintenance, it's just worth it to stay on them because then I'm not afraid of tap water. I'm not afraid to eat out. I'm not afraid of chemtrails because I just take a binder every day and I'm never going to let my body get back to that sick, toxic place. So those things changed my life. And what's so hard when we come to this perspective and our eyes are opened and we know about all these toxins in our food, in our air, and everything else. One, for me, my fight is just being pissed off all the time. I'm like, why? Why do anybody want to harm other people when they're not dumb? They know the stuff they're making is not good, but they make it anyway. So Silkor can't fix that. If you're my attitude, I have to work on that. But where I'm going with that is the fear. A lot of people don't want to come over to our side because they don't want to know. They don't want to really know because you get out of balance. You become afraid of things. And that's not in my nature. I'm not that way. I personally don't really understand it. Anxiety, what however I'm wired, I just don't that's just not how I'm wired, but I get and I'm very sympathetic, empathetic to other people that are. So we my kids' grandma was like that. She just lived in this bubble. She wouldn't watch the news. She just didn't want to know anything. She didn't want to know anything bad. She didn't want it in her heart. She didn't want it in her mind. To us, that was just always super unrealistic. I want to know the truth about everything, whether it's good or bad or scary. It takes a lot to scare me, but not everybody's that way. Some people are scared about everything. So they don't want to hear us talk about parasites. They don't want to hear us talk about food dyes and how traumatic they can be for your brain function or any of it. They just don't want to hear. One, they don't want to deal with it, but they don't want to be afraid of it. And so I get that. For me, I just like tools. I You don't have to be afraid. Take a binder every day. Take Virad Chem. Take biotoxin binder. Just take it every day. So, in so many ways, Cellcore changed my life because I'm seeing all these parasites come out. Again, you can go to even Facebook, scroll down forever, and my old videos from years ago. When I was thinking about what I wanted to say today, I wanted to dig deep in my story and tell you about my healing journey because where I'm at now, I already almost forgot how sick I was. You know what I mean? We have to appreciate where we're at now. I have not arrived, but I've already almost forgot how sick I was. And like I was that person that I probably whined and cried around more than I realized, and I still do about aches and pains and verbalize this or that, but I didn't let it slow me down. I just ate a lot of ibuprofen, like a lot. For years, I took 800 milligrams of ibuprofen at least twice a day, if not three. And there too, that's a big part of my root cause, a big part of my digestion issues, sluggish kidneys, all of that stuff, all of the liver flukes and the liver stones that I passed. And I had a hysterectomy, so the hormone problems, all the layers and layers that you don't realize. The root cause is about your liver, right? And when I first started doing the parasite work, then I when I got into the liver work, I would have stools that would look like I dumped a soggy bowl of grape nuts in the toilet. All those stones, liver stones. And gallstones, no, they're liver stones first. And what your body does is it takes toxins that it can't methylate, wraps them up in cholesterol, and tucks them away in your liver. So, as I've walked through all this, why was I so sick? Why most people with autoimmune disease probably have some serious genetic SNP issues. So, I've done the testing. I've got the MTHFR mutation, the COMT mutation, all these things. That at the root cause has to be managed as well. When you have those SNPs, I really now I don't even really feel like I need methylated B vitamins. I just need not to ingest fortified foods with bad sprayed on chemicals. Like a lot of days I don't feel like I need extra help. I just need to avoid the bad stuff and let my body mitigate the others. But when we have those genetic SNP issues, we just can't detox. So we are sicker than other people. I've got the Epstein Barr mutation that is affects your thyroid. If you know anything about that, my labs always look fine. My thyroid has always handled its own. But right now, I've been doing some heavy duty detox work with energy and I'm working on Lyme. I've got chronic Lyme. I'm working on that and I can feel it in my spine. I'm just stiff. And how I know I'm working hard because my thyroid antibodies are 6,400. That's terrible. Absolutely terrible. But my inflammation is it's not great, but it's under 1. The normal range is 3 and above. You start to worry about it. It's under 1. So if that was oh back in May, I think, I felt really crappy. So I tested my inflammatory response. My CRP was a 9 then, and I knew I felt like crap. My face was way puffier. I felt terrible. And I don't remember, I'm sure it was self-induced. I don't remember what I was doing at that time, but I'm always treating my body like a science experiment, right? But I like to grab the labs and back it up and compare so I know what's going on. So anyway, my antibodies, I'm just not going to worry about them because maybe this is bad reasoning, but if I was to go to the doctor right now and give them my list of complaints, ask them to test my thyroid, they would test my TSH, maybe my T4, maybe a free, whatever, little three of them usually. They would test, they'd be fine. They would send me home and tell me they're fine. They would never ever look for those antibodies. They're I don't know why. It's not like they're expensive, but they would never look. So I'm going to roll with that. I'm fine. I just know what that number is, and I'm gonna keep an eye on it. I'm gonna retest it probably in January and see if it's come down. I'm just gonna keep an eye on it, and I'm gonna go by how I feel. In general, when I'm stiff and sore, I know why, because I've forced myself into some sort of Herx reaction. I don't believe in colds, I don't believe in flus. We don't catch things, we're detoxing. When you are some kind of sick, you were exposed to some kind of energy, something changed your frequency, something caused your body to detox. And detox isn't bad. Like Runny nose, that's a detox pathway. Coughing, it's a detox pathway. Your body's trying to get something out of it, right? Trying to get something out. Let it. Symptoms are annoying. If you get a little fever, lean into it. That is your body's way of mitigating things. That's your body's way of killing things. That's why you get a fever. So that is about my hour. And there is a few people here with me. I should be able to see comments. If you have any comments, anything personal, I do want to say I just can't get blatant medical advice over social media. If you have got deeper problems, if you've got deep problems, if you've got autoimmune disease, you are not an easy case. You don't just go around guessing about stuff. You need to work with me or somebody else one on one. If you've got have current or have had cancer, autoimmune disease, anything chronic, don't wait around in this by yourself. You need help. If you are basically healthy, you have a few symptoms like you're running out of energy, you're starting to feel your age or over your age, then you are a perfect do it yourself person. You can go at it alone, use the Cellcore products, just do the DIY and work your way through it. If you want extra help, I've got a DIY like education vault, I call it. It's on my website. You just pay the subscription, and I've got tons of videos on there that will explain every step to you. Most any question, you're gonna find the answer to it in those videos. There's handouts and downloads. So you don't need expensive appointments with me. You don't need me to hold your hand. You can just walk through that program and you're going to feel so much better. You're going to have better mitochondrial health. You're going to detox. You're just going to feel like you got your gas tank filled. And that is, you do 4 months. So it's 120 days. And then you're going to do a parasite cleanse every full moon for a minimum of 4 months, just to make sure that you got all the eggs. Even in my history, it's been a lot of years ago before I did the wellness way, before I worked with, gosh, that was a long time ago. I was in Montana, so I know it's probably at least 10 years ago. I had worked with a practitioner and he put me on a parasite cleanse. It was only one bottle, and then I had other supplements. He did bioenergetic testing, somewhat similar to I do. He put me on some kind of parasite cleanse. I don't remember what it was. I don't remember what the product was. It was only one pill or one bottle. And every time I took that, it burned my belly so bad. It felt like a hole was burning in my gut for about 20 minutes, and then it would subside. I did that. I did the whole bottle every day, even with it burning my belly like that. And back then, I remember my bladder really improved on that parasite cleanse. I didn't notice much else. So then it wasn't his fault, it was me. I didn't go back. He was in Rapid City, South Dakota. He didn't do virtual, didn't offer that. And I maybe went back for one repeat appointment, but we didn't do another anything else with those parasites. He didn't mention them again. So I know that what we did was only enough to kick the hive and piss them off and make them worse. So that even a lot of functional practitioners or a lot of like social media people who are really parasite stuff is just trending. And normal people that don't have health problems, they can get away with just doing a little parasite cleanse. I think they can get away with it. I'm not even sure that's true. Not if you just go back to living and doing whatever you were doing. You have to live an anti parasitic diet, lifestyle, for that not to have made you worse. But a lot of times when we just kick the hive, we just do enough to make them mad, to drive them deeper into our tissues. And we don't realize it because the effects, it doesn't happen right away. But one of the biggest things is that all of a sudden you're just gaining weight. like for no good reason. You're just gaining weight. And it's not real weight, it's fluid weight. Your pathways are blocked up. Even women throughout your cycle, you'll have a puffy week where everything is just backed up, or you'll have a skinnier week. Everything, the water just leaves your body. Similar to that. And the parasites, and you might it's just all sorts of random weird symptoms. Could that still happen even after you did 120 days and the cell core cleanup? It could. It absolutely could, especially if you go right back to eating how you ate, eating junk food and alcohol and all of that. Yeah, normally would a person need to do that heavy of a cleanse every year? You shouldn't if you're walking out prevention and lifestyle. That all matters. That all matters. Oh, I guess what I was saying, if you have chronic disease, if you've got fibromyalgia or any autoimmune disease, if you've had cancer or currently have cancer, I just caution you to mess around with parasite stuff. Like you really have to be in it for the long run. I was passing parasites that I could visually see in the toilet for 2 years. And even when I do my full moon protocols, I'll still see weird stuff. So that cleanup, like the parasites themselves, they lay thousands and thousands of eggs a day, depending on the species. The eggs, they're pretty much dormant until you kill the adult. In the die-off process, when that adult splats, kills, and an enzyme is released that signals the eggs to hatch. So that is where the shit show really begins. And it's a lot. Like getting rid of them is a lot. But if you've got autoimmune disease, you're full of parasites. If you have got cancer or had cancer, you're full of parasites. When I say parasite, all of it pathogens, mold, candida, anything that wants to suck from you your nutrition and is roguely growing inside of you that shouldn't be is parasites. Still, like the little bit of nutrition that's left in our food, they're going to steal it. They're going to take it first. So, lot of overweight people, everybody thinks that it's skinny people that have tapeworms or have parasites. That's why they're so skinny. That's not true. Overweight people are full of parasites, full of toxins. They are not methylating at all. Like your body, when you're not methylating toxins, your body stores them, like I said, wraps them up in cholesterol, sticks them in your liver, but it also puts them in cellulite. Cellulite is the perfect place to hide toxins. So, like a lot of us, women especially, we will starve ourselves and gain weight. Like it does not make sense. It's supposed to be calories in and calories out, but you're starving yourself and you are not losing weight. That's because your body's, girl, you're too toxic. Like your body's, hey, we stuck all those toxins that you couldn't methylate in your fat tissue. If we let you release that fat tissue, what's going to happen? You can't handle it. So that is why your body is trying to protect itself. It is not going to let go of that weight until your liver is open and can methylate those toxins. Your body is not trying to hurt your feelings. Your body is not your body your body doesn't want to be fat. It doesn't know what else to do. It doesn't know what else to do. So all my clients, we all want to lose weight. I want to lose weight, but a healthy body will find a healthy weight. We have got to get your heart, your mind, your focus on your health first. A healthy body will find a healthy weight, period. My liver has always looked stellar on paper. My liver enzymes, never off. So if you're in a point where your liver enzymes are elevated on your lab work, you're in serious trouble. You're in serious trouble. Your liver needs desperate help. And super common, those gene snips. You don't have to test for them. You can. It's interesting to know, and it can help us really personalize your supplementation, but you don't have to know. My bioenergetic testing will definitely pick up on some hints of that, and we supplement accordingly. But your body needs a lot of help. If you're overweight, fatty liver, we've all heard of fatty liver. What does that mean, right? How did it get there? Non alcoholic fatty liver, stress, high fructose corn syrup. Those are the main things. Like stress, drink a Pepsi. Stress, drink a Coke. Stress, drink some Mountain Dew. Like those things, obviously, bad oils, all of that, your emotions, your anger, all of it affects how your body functions. That's it for today. I'll see you next Wednesday. I do want to invite you to like, to share, to follow, smash the notification, right? That's what everybody who does these videos have to say. Go and smash the notification. Get my energy up, right? Yeah, yeah, smash it, like it. I'll be here every Wednesday for you if you want to get notifications. Gosh, how do I get you there? I don't know how to tell you there. You're gonna have to get on my website, awakenedwellnessllc.com. And there should be a button there that you can sign up to get notified for group. But the easiest thing to do is to follow me on YouTube, follow me on Facebook, and it'll tell you if I'm live. But every Wednesday, I'm going to be there for you, Mountain Time, 1 o'clock Mountain, no, 12 o'clock Mountain Time. And then I go live at 1 on TikTok because I just can't stream them all together. I get way too lost. I do think I got, maybe I didn't. I thought I got Instagram to work. I did. I got Instagram to work too. So right now, I am streaming on Facebook, YouTube, and Instagram. Instagram, I can't see the post, so that's unfortunate. I can't see comments over there, but I did get it to work. So sweet. If there's comments, I'll get back to you. For next week, you can message me ahead of time if you've got something that I need to look up or research. If you've got a question, get me there ahead of time so I know how to answer you. Otherwise, just drop me a comment. I think I can see them live, but I use StreamYard to stream in multiple places, so that makes it harder to see the comments. But I'll see you next Wednesday. Take care, stay healthy.